and I'll tell you, the way I would ask this is I would undo this, and have it laying like this. Okay, so this is the way it's going to be, just like that. Now, you can still see the labia, minora, minora, majora. Here's the vagina, right? Here would be the uterus. This would be the cervix. Obviously, urinary bladder. I don't have that up far enough. Urethra. And then, what else? Oh, you can see some of the layers, but I wouldn't ask you layers on this. So here's the endometrium, the myometrium, and then the outer layer would be the parametrium. And then right there, even though it's really hard to see, this is the clitoris right there. Okay? So clitoris, the pubic bone, the urethra, vagina, obviously the colon right there. Okay? And then with the uterus laying out over on top of the urinary bladder. And this would be the cervix. So this corner here would be the fornix, the opening, the os. Is that all right? Now, that's all I would ever ask you on that.
Sounds good.
So on this one, now you can see right here the two testes. This one, here's the testis, here's the epididymis, and then this would be the spermatic cord. Now, when this penetrates up through the inguinal canal right at this point, you're seeing the vas deferens here, and it goes all the way to the posterior side. And as it does, posterior side of the urinary bladder, as it does, it expands. That's called the ampulla. And you can see the ampulla on this side, and then below that are a pair of glands called the seminal vesicles. Below that is this walnut-sized gland, which is the prostate. Okay? So a pair of glands here and here. And then on this side, you can see what covering the external, well, the surface of the testis. You have this muscle, and of course that's the cremaster muscle. That'll either raise or lower the testes to keep the temperature, what, about 2 degrees Celsius lower than body temperature for the proper sperm development. And then, of course, the scrotal sac, which is the pouch that the testes are localized. And I think that's about it. Now, if you open this up, you can see a little bit more. Obviously, here's the prostate, so you could see the prostatic urethra, and then you see that little short length of tube. That would be the ejaculatory duct, where the sperm coming from the vas deferens eventually will enter right at that point into the urethra. This is the prostatic urethra. Right here would be the membranous urethra. And then once the urethra is inside the penis, then we call it the spongy or the penile urethra. You can also see the corpus cavernosa, and then encasing the length of the urethra here, that would be the corpus spongiosa. And then, even though they're really hard to make out, right there, those are the bulbourethral glands. They're just really small little glands that you can see right there, but those are the bulbourethral. Is that all right? The primordial follicles, the corpus luteum, right, that produces estrogen and progesterone, and then this follicle, which is called a Graafian or vesicular follicle. And this cavity would be the antrum. And then what are the cells called that line it? Granulosa cells, and they produce estrogen, right? When that egg is released, and what do we call that process right there?
Ovulation.
Ovulation. When it's ovulated, then the granulosa cells will start to proliferate and eventually form this corpus luteum. Okay. Also, there's a simple cuboidal epithelia. We call it the germinal epithelia, and it's from that epithelia that all the eggs that a girl baby will produce arise from that epithelia. Okay, and again, producing these primordial follicles. LH and FSH released from the anterior pituitary will start the development of those eggs then into these primary follicles. And then eventually they mature into this Graafian follicle, okay? Which will then allow ovulation, and then the granulosa cells turn into corpus luteum. Now, if pregnancy doesn't occur, then that eventually degenerates into what is called a corpus albicans, a white body. This is a yellow body, luteum meaning yellow. Is that all right? And that's pretty much all I would ask you on.